Hey everyone, and welcome to Bite-Sized Tactics. In this video, I wanted to have a look at the Tyrant Guard, probably one of the best bodyguard units in the game, and also the best bodyguard unit in the Codex, in my own opinion. Starting with their profile, they have a normal movement of 6 inches. A standout though is a toughness of 8, which is really good and unusual for an infantry unit. A 3 plus armor save, which is also pretty good. They also have 4 wounds per model, and this is really unique and good for the unit. A leadership of 8 plus, which is basic for Tyranids, and an OC of 1, which is pretty normal. A unit consists of 3 to 6 models in a unit. A unit of 3 will cost 95 points, and a unit of 6 will cost 190 points. Looking at their keywords, they only have one that is of any significance, and that is the infantry keyword, which is important for the abilities and stratagems throughout the game. They also have their own unique ability called Guardian Organism, which allows the character that is leading the unit to gain a 5 plus Feel No Pain, which is really good for precision weapons from the enemy. When you look at their weapons, they are equipped with Scything Talons and Rending Claws, which is pretty good against infantry, as they have 5 attacks, will hit on 3s, have a strength of 5, so they will be able to wound pretty much every infantry model. They have -1 AP, which is quite decent, but only damage 1, so you might struggle against some Space Marines. They can be replaced with a Bone Cleaver, Lash Whip, and Rending Claws, which has the twin linked ability and is also pretty solid against infantry, with a few less attacks at 3, still strength 5, but have damage 2. That's the main difference, so it's quite good at bridging that gap when playing Space Marines. The final option is the Crushing Claws and Rending Claws. Now, this is its stronger weapon at strength 8, also has -2 AP, and still does 2 damage. You still get 3 attacks, but your weapon skill is a bit less, but this is more threatening to the elite infantry units. So some of their weaknesses are that they are a bit one-dimensional and have no ranged attacks, and they are very susceptible to weapons with a high AP and multiple damage weapons. So 2 damage weapons are really good against this unit, as 2 wounds that go through will just kill a model in the unit. And they also can't keep up with who they're meant to bodyguard, so we'll make that bodyguard unit slower. So if you've got a Hive Tyrant or a Neuro Tyrant, you need to not move as far with them, so you can stay within synapse range of the Tyrant Guard. It also doesn't have a lot of scoring potential, so you need to be wary of that when putting them in, as they're more of a support piece for whoever they're guarding. Their strengths, though, obviously they're quite durable. Like, they've got a high toughness at 8, which, as I said before, not a lot of infantry units really have, and they also have a great number of wounds at 4. They're also great at protecting the leader that they're with because they are durable and can take a lot of shots, and they're good at dealing with infantry units that might try to tie up that bodyguard unit. They're also good to use in multiple detachments, and we'll get to that in a bit with the leaders, and you'll see why. And they also have a decent variation of leaders to choose from. When you look at their mission play, it's pretty basic. They're great at keeping your leader alive. They're fantastic at holding your fortified objectives or holding off your opponent's threats with them as like a move block or a screen. And they're also obviously great at getting that leader up the board where needed as well, and this will depend on who their leader actually is. This unit could also be really annoying to deal with in the assimilation swarm, specifically with the regeneration rule from harvester units. Now let's look at some of the leaders that can lead this unit. So starting off the Hive Tyrant, this is great for getting that model further up the field and dealing damage to your enemy units, and then you can let the Hive Tyrant use its ability for a free battle tactic stratagem across multiple units, because you won't have to try hide them, as they do have that bodyguard unit to take the shots that your enemy will shoot at them. They can also be attached to a Neuro Tyrant, and this could be quite good for the unit, as it provides them with the +1 to hit and possibly +1 to wound if the unit is battle shocked, which is also really good for their stronger Crushing Claws and Rending Claws attacks. And it also allows the Neuro Tyrant to get across the field and keep the furthest of your units within synapse range when needed for those battle shock tests. You can also attach it to the Swarm Lord, and this is really good because it can really keep that model even safer and alive throughout the game. And this is important as you get 1 CP every time it's your command phase, and you also can keep that Vect ability as a threat. So when your opponent does use the stratagem that you really want to Vect, you can do it and it will have a big impact on the game. So for the verdict, well, I definitely see that a lot of Tyranid players would at least have a Swarm Lord and possibly a Hive Tyrant in any list that they're running, or at least one of those options. So a unit of 3 Tyrant Guard for them would be really good and useful to keep them safe throughout the game, especially the Swarm Lord, as you want to keep that Vect ability in play throughout the game, and you also want to be getting that extra CP for any stratagems you might want to use for that detachment. You could also just play really cagey with them, so it's really up to you whether or not you think you really need the unit. But I still think if you are worried about your leader or warlord being targeted and killed off, and you need him to stick around, like the Swarm Lord or even the Hive Tyrant for that free battle tactic, it's definitely worth having a look at having one of these units, at least in a unit of 3, to protect it. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, feel free to leave a like, comment what you think of the Tyrant Guard and whether or not you like to use them or not, and then subscribe to the channel if you like this content.